advanced. Lots of advances have been made. So the term artificial intelligence is not new, actually. It was coined in 1956 by a man called John McCarthy in New Hampshire in the US. And it was at a workshop, and he was challenging scientists like himself that let's explore the possibility of creating thinking machines that are as intelligent as humans. Now, if they said, let's create machines that are as intelligent as humans, that tells me they're celebrating man's creative abilities. It's a celebration of man's creative abilities. It's also because that's what sets him apart from all of creation, is his creative abilities. It's also an acknowledgement of his creator. It's an acknowledgement of man's creator. Proverbs 2:6 says, for the Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. 1 Chronicles 17:20 says, there is no one like you, Lord, and there is no God but you. As we have heard with our own ears, you can't begin to imagine. Many times I come to a realization that our words can't adequately express how awesome our God is. What we can't find it within our vocabulary to really describe how awesome God is. My background is engineering. I learned big things like how to make buildings stand, or I've been around people who make bridges stand in the midst of the ocean. Now, when you say a bridge, it isn't the concrete that's making it stand. It's not the steel. It's the algorithms, it's the mathematics and the science of the materials. It's not the workman, it's the engineer or the engineering. And behind that is an intelligent mind. We are products of creation. We're products of design. So when I say that sometimes, or when you think about galaxies and they say there are billions of them, then you start to realize that there really is no one like Jehovah. There really is no one. You can't imagine it. You can't imagine it. There really is no one like God. So I said to Brother Kenny, let's start in a way where we will not be talking over the heads of the audience. So I said to him, first, I'd like to suggest to you some everyday uses of artificial intelligence. So if you came into this meeting thinking, oh, am I going to feel comfortable using artificial intelligence? Is there ever going to come a time when I would feel really easy around all these high-sounding concepts and ideas? So what I'm going to say is for you. Now, who uses predictive texting on their phone? Okay, so please, maybe in the chat or in the reactions, yes, please give me a thumbs up if you use predictive texting. If you use predictive texting, either on your phone. So when you're typing, for instance, what it does is, or even when you're typing in Microsoft Word, it can suggest words to you. It can highlight a word in red and say, oh, I think you've missed this, and it will give you options to choose from. Who has ever done that? Who has ever typed in the computer and it said, oh, you spelled this word incorrectly? Oh, not many people. I can only see just a few hands. I can see only Pastor Raji has actually. Yeah, okay. Well, okay. So I can see not many people use predictive texting, and that's what I assume. Okay. That's artificial intelligence. The very first mention I heard of artificial intelligence was around 1994, thereabout. So I had a friend a little younger than me. He was a computer scientist. He went into business straight away after finishing at uni. And then he had a partner who also studied computer science at uni. And I heard that partner say, my project was in artificial intelligence. And that's what I'm hoping would be the way my career would go. So I asked him, what was your project about? So he said, what he did, what he learned to do was, if you're typing in, say, Microsoft Word, in those days we used to have not just Microsoft Word, there was WordStar, there were all kinds of word processors. So he says it will predict, if it sees what you're writing, it will predict the next word for you, and you can either choose it or not. So that's artificial intelligence. So if you're filling a form, for instance, you're typing in you're just typing something or asking Google a question, and it will suggest, is this what you're trying to say, even before you get there. That's artificial intelligence. So has anybody ever done that? If you have, so you definitely have been using artificial intelligence. So there are voice assistants. Who has ever used Siri or Alexa? They're called intelligent virtual characters. They understand natural language, and they allow you to ask questions. They provide you with information based on your question. And they ask as a personal digital assistant. They can respond to voice, they can respond to all sorts of interaction. Who uses Siri, who uses Alexa in the room? Yes, I can see Reverend Bakari. So Reverend Bakari, you'll be using artificial intelligence. Okay. Who uses Netflix or Spotify, or who buys on Amazon? So Netflix will suggest a movie. By the time you've used Netflix for a bit, the way the algorithms work, they know what interests you, and they suggest movies to you. So if you watch the Nollywood, for instance, it will suggest the part 2, even when you didn't know there was a part 2. Or Spotify, you play, I'm trying to think of popular music that you could be playing on Spotify, and it will suggest, actually, it will create for you a, what is it called now? It will create a list for you.
Playlist.
Yes, a playlist based on what you've been listening to. That's artificial intelligence. There's no way it could have known if it didn't have a measure of intelligence. So that's artificial intelligence. Who's heard of chatbots? Now this one may sound a little bit strange. When you, in customer service, when you call your bank and a computer answers, and the computer says, tell me your name, you say your name. The computer says, what are you calling about? You say, oh, I've lost my bank card. Then the computer says, oh, you've lost your bank card, or was it stolen? You say, oh, I lost it. Then the computer says, okay, to be able to transfer it to someone who can help you, can you tell me your sort code? That's artificial intelligence you're engaging with. So that machine has intelligence, and the goal is to humanize, to make it as human as possible. Trending. So on social media, when the application identifies emerging topics, patterns, popular discussions over the internet, news sites, across different platforms, and tells you this is what has been trending in the last 24 hours. That's artificial intelligence you're engaging with. Or do you play chess online, or do you play Scrabble? How can the computer, if you are playing I like to play Scrabble. I did play quite a bit. So, and they set different levels, beginners, intermediate, and advanced. So the furthest I ever got was the intermediate. So you play, and then the computer plays. So in the past, what used to happen was they will program a sequence of all possible movements into the application, and then such that if you made a move, it will simply go back into its memory and pick another move. But it's different now. It's artificial intelligence. It's actually responding in real time to a move you've made, either in chess or, say, Scrabble. Who's done that? Who's engaged? Who's played online chess or Scrabble? So I want you to just signify now, just a reaction. Do you think artificial intelligence is something we've never heard about, or something that's also new? Or do you think it's all around us? We probably just weren't aware. So who's having a look in to see the reactions, to let us see, on average, give me a proportional in percentage. How many people think that artificial intelligence is all around us? It's not what we think it is, something far-fetched, something that's really, really strange and gruesome and fearful. So if someone is monitoring give me a percentage. There are about 57 of us on this call. So
yes, we've had about roughly 10 responses, I would say, and it's 100% so far. Everyone thinks that, yes, indeed, artificial intelligence has always been here and it's all around us.
Okay.
And that's grown even a bit more. So
okay, thank you. I know we're talking about ministry, we'll get there. I just thought, Brother Kenny and I, when we had this chat, I thought, let's ease ourselves into this discussion. Okay. So I've asked the question, are we using AI already in everyday life? And I think the consensus is yes. What about in Christian ministry? I want to ask the question, are we using AI already or not? And to what extent? So please feel free to respond. Guess. Make guesses. Are we using AI and to what extent? You can say a lot, not a lot, hardly. And then we'll go on to the next discussion topic. So, Brother Kenny, what do we think? What do we think the extent to which you're using AI in Christian ministry?
I personally think we are using it a lot by default and probably less by design. And the responses we've had so far is about half-half, I would say.
Okay.
People agree that we're using it. However, in terms of the magnitude of usage or scale of usage, I think it's a mixed okay. response we're getting.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'd like to make 3 practical illustrations of uses of AI in Christian ministry. And the first one is around announcements, broadcasts, promotion of events. Now, I'm a member of the New Covenant Church, Streatham. I coordinate Bible study. And so in the past, what I tended to do was when the Bible study team, when we've agreed the, say, topic for the month, we'll prepare a flyer or a poster. So I will describe the topic of the month to the leader of the publicity team. The leader of the publicity team will then describe what I've said or written and send it to a designer. And then the designer will come up with a flyer. He will look at it and send it to me. Often, I would have corrections, I would have suggestions, I would have ideas, because the designers were using proprietary software that were not easily accessible. They were using Photoshop, they were using InDesign, they were using CorelDRAW that were not readily available. So we just depended on him. If we needed to change, if he spelled Kenny as K-E-N-Y, whereas Kenny should be K-E-N-N-Y. We have to go back to the designer. And sometimes the designer would say use a cross, and I would look at the cross and say this cross looks like a new age cross. But we have to go back to the designer to get that corrected. But then along came an application called Canva, which is an AI application design tool. So what Canva enables us to do, and then the model, the free model. So what Canva enables us to do is that if you're inclined to be creative, I would actually create a draft or a mock of the flyer I have in mind. How? I will simply type into Canva, create a flyer of a church of Black people in a prayer meeting, and it will create 3 or 4 options to me. So I'll choose the one I think is most identical or similar to what I have in mind, and then I will send that off to somebody who's got better design skills than me. They would work on it, send it back to me. So it reduces it going back and forth. And we have a flyer that's fit for purpose, good to use. Also, if you, in a church of young people, for instance, so these new applications, Canva allows you to collaborate, unlike in the past where the designer was the only one who had the license to Photoshop or CorelDRAW or InDesign. Canva allows you to collaborate such that once I've created an initial draft, I could ask Emmanuel, I could ask David, or any of the young people in the team, if we have such a team, if that's the setup of your church or ministry, and they would make input, they would all make corrections and revisions. And, you know, for next to nothing, in a fraction of the time it used to take us, we have a design that's so how many of our ministries do we create digital flyers, e-flyers, posters, logos? I can assure you, you're using AI. That's what's being used to create all of that artwork for you. So Canva, very, very useful for announcements, broadcast, promotion of events. Or Eventbrite. So how many of our ministries promote our programs on Eventbrite? I think many of us do. So what happens in Eventbrite is you simply type in your program, the title, the location, the dates. It's an AI, it's an artificial intelligence application. It will automatically create descriptions for you. It will create summaries of the event. It will even create images you could use in promoting the event in a matter of seconds. So you haven't had to go to China to go and look for a designer, or go to Fiverr or Tenor or People Per Hour. You have less dependency on somebody who has a proprietary software license before you can get going. So even if what you create is not up to speed, at least you have a starting point which you can then send off to guide whoever is doing your design for you. So I know that very definitely I see quite a number of my pastor friends here. So you all have been using AI, whether you know it or not. Okay, publishing. So that's one. I've said announcements, publicity. Let's call it publicity. The second one is publishing. You know that I'm a researcher. So when you let's say I interview people about a subject, say, let's say I have a research project to carry out some interviews about a topical subject, and then I record it. But it's no use to me in the recorded form. I need to transcribe it. On average, if you're experienced, transcription takes about,
Yeah.
to transcribe an hour of speech, you need about 4 hours of your time to be able to transcribe an hour of speech. And let's say your research project, you interview 50 people, you're looking at 200 hours to be able to transcribe the recordings. Then along came an application called Alter.ai. In seconds, all I need is the MP3, is the recording of that interview. It transcribes it for me. And they're getting so intelligent, they recognize accents like mine. It transcribes. So what do I do? All I now need to do is to structure it, to arrange it, to fact check, to make sure it hasn't misrepresented any of the recordings. And that's a powerful, powerful, powerful application in Christian ministry. Imagine the content that we create. Your pastor preaches Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. So imagine that you have an application that can transcribe all of those messages into text. That's a publisher's dream. What it means is that, in fact, there is no reason pastors should not be publishing books and ebooks routinely. So if you're still afraid of AI, you're doing yourself a disservice, because what it does is it's giving you the text of what you've preached. So your editor or your proofreader is not starting from scratch. And then let's say you preach a series. By the time you've preached a series for a month, that's a book. So imagine your reach. Imagine your reach. Even if you are giving the books out freely as ebooks, but imagine your reach. Even if you are placing them on your website for people to download, imagine the reach of your ministry. And it gets better. It gets better. By the time you start to talk about applications like ChatGPT, Microsoft Editor, so, I've said you've transcribed, say, a series of messages, 3 messages, and then you've tried to structure them. You've tried to structure them into sections of a book or chapters of a book. Then, through what is called, we'll talk about it later, called prompt engineering, you can now say that, okay, this is a book that I really enjoyed reading. I really enjoyed reading this book. Writers have a style. Writers have a style. To be effective, you need to have a style. You don't just write. You need to have a style. So you can actually ask an AI, what is the writing style? How would you describe the writing style of this book? This book that I really like. It could say it's simple, it's easy, then you would say, now this transcript that I have, my pastor having preached his soul out in the last 4 weeks, rewrite the script in an engaging style. In seconds, it's done it. And then remember, it's your text. You're not at risk of plagiarism. You're not breaking any ethical codes. But because of the effectiveness of your reach, you have it in your hands. Then you're not reinventing the wheel. You're not starting from scratch. You can then start to structure and add value to what you already have in your hands. So how many people would like that? How many people would like an application? How many pastors would like an application like that? How many people are going to be speaking to their publishing departments soon after this meeting that, wait, we need to contact Kenny. We need to talk. We need to talk. So you're starting to, so my aim is to ease us in gently. So we see that we see the value, and we see that we're already using these applications. So we're not really scared or afraid or wondering, is it for us, is it for the church? Okay. So I started by publicity. How many more minutes, please, Bro Kenny?
You have
Just to finish
another
this part
5
of it.
minutes, but
Okay, 5 minutes.
keep
That's fine.
keep
5
going.
minutes.
We have enough. We can be flexible with the question and
Okay,
answer
all
time.
right.
I think
5
this
to
is
10
really
minutes is
important. We've
plenty.
got plenty of content.
Okay, so I talked about publicity. I've talked about publishing. Okay, now let's talk about the elephant in the room, teaching and preaching. Teaching and preaching. Okay, I'll start by, now I am a member of the New Covenant Church Straight, and my pastor, I'm not sure if he's in the call, is Reverend Tune Aikomo. He knows his Bible. He knows the layout of the Bible. He knows his Bible. If you're a member of Straight, you will know that. Okay, so if I ring pastor and I ask him, how old was Joseph, the son of Jacob, when he became second in command in Egypt? Straight away, he will tell me he was 30 years old. Immediately, he will tell me. Now, if I ask pastor that, pastor, please tell me an important difference between Paul's missionary journeys, So he will first think, oh, okay, where was Paul's first missionary journey? Where was his second missionary journey? Where was his third missionary journey? Then he will say, oh, what was the difference between them? He will need to think it through to give me an answer. Okay. Along comes an application called Bible GPT. GPT simply means generative pre-trained transformers. They use what you call neural networks to generate human-like text. They're like ChatGPT, U.com. But Bible GPT, I asked Bible GPT, I said, so Bible GPT is an AI-powered tool. It's designed to provide accurate Bible-based answers to your queries. The aim is to enhance Bible study, theology, and Christian living. So I asked Bible GPT, how old was Joseph when he became second in command in Egypt? In seconds, he told me Joseph was 30 years old when he became second in command in Egypt, also referred to as the prime minister. This is mentioned in Genesis 41:46. So if I ask pastor, how old was Joseph and where was his age mentioned, or where can we find out his age? Pastor will tell me straight away Joseph was 30. But pastor will think, oh, because he knows the layout of the Bible, he'll say that's around Genesis, if you know him, just around Genesis 40, 41. But straight away, Bible GPT has told me Genesis 41, 46. Then I asked Bible GPT again, tell me an important difference between Paul's missionary journeys, and I said, in not more than 50 words. You know what he said? He said, an important difference between Paul's missionary journeys is their geographical focus. The first journey primarily targeted regions in Asia Minor, while the second and third journeys expanded to include Greece and parts of Europe, reflecting a broader mission to spread the gospel to diverse cultures. I didn't even ask, it's told me more than I asked. I doubt pastor will tell me all of this in seconds. He will say, okay, Brother Femi, give me a minute. No disrespect, sir. So are we starting to see the value? Are we starting to see the value? So homiletics, that's preparing to teach or preach. The applications that enable you generate preaching themes. So for instance, at the New Covenant Church Streatham, in this year, we're going to try and study the New Testament on using a thematic approach, a topical approach. So we'll go through the books, but on a theme by theme. So I've told Pastor to get ready. We're going to sit down at a table and we're going to look through the Bible and start to pick out the themes. I'm sure it's already a little bit jittery. How long that's going to take us? Okay, so imagine that before I go to that meeting, I've already done a little bit of a search, and I say this is what I found out. This is what I found out. Now let's tease out the themes that match the books. So a lot of the donkey work, as they call it, is already done. So that's to me, that's a very, very valuable, that's added value to me. Because we're going to have a discussion, I'll stop now. So what I'm going to say is this: AI is not going to replace the teacher or the preacher, but it's going to replace the ones. It is the preacher or the teacher who know how to use it effectively who's going to replace the teacher or the preacher. So AI is not going to sack your pastor, but is the person who knows how to use AI effectively who's going to be a challenge to us in ministry. I hope that's clear enough. So AI is transforming various aspects of life. Why not Christian ministry? And if we use it effectively, we'll be better able to focus on the core mission of the church, to evangelize, to disciple, and to plant churches. Look, AI is not going to lay hands on the sick. AI is not going to give you a word of knowledge. AI is not going to visit you when you're in trouble and you need. AI is not going to replace the visit of the leaders of the church to pray over you and anoint you with oil when you're sick. But if it's going to free up their time to be more effective in the ministry, I think that it's a welcome development. I think it's a welcome development. So I'll stop there, and then we can go into discussions led by Brother Kenny. Thank you very much. Thank you.